As I lay in the hospital bed close to death, my parents were at a celebration. They were watching Vivienne, their beloved daughter, perform. She was the one they loved most. I saw Marcus holding flowers, getting down on one knee right there in the audience. "Vivienne, will you marry me?" he asked. Everyone cheered and clapped as they kissed and hugged. Finally, they were a family. And at that moment, I took my last breath. My whole life I had been trying to compete with Vivienne. I fought for everything, only to end up alone and feeling resentful. But I was their real daughter. If I could have a do-over, I would stay far away from them. Mother, Father, I don't need your love anymore. I feel like I've been reborn. Next to me, my parents were holding 18-year-old Vivienne's shoulders, smiling at the cameras. The news the next day would say, "Blackwood heiress shines at charity gala. What's done is done, and it's too late now." Vivienne is the daughter of my parents' close business partners who passed away. She's a musical talent with a heart condition. Her parents had tried everything to help her, but an accident left her all alone. My parents felt sorry for her because of this, and they decided to take her in. Eventually, they forgot that I was their own daughter, Elara. "Didn't you always say it was boring being alone? Now you have a sister to keep you company. Aren't you happy?" Mother had said. They all smiled, thinking I would be thrilled to have a new sister. They thought they were being so thoughtful. In my past life, I really believed them. I thought I had gained a friend, and I treated Vivienne, who seemed so fragile, like family. I never realised that Vivienne was secretly taking everything that should have been mine until she completely replaced me. Coming back to the present, Father was still talking. "Vivienne needs our support," he said. "As her sister, you must take good care of her and protect her." "Got it," I replied coolly. Right after that, Vivienne's eyes started to fill with tears. "What if Elara isn't used to having someone else share her parents' love?" she asked, sounding so innocent. "Who would be that generous, right?" "Don't worry, Uncle, Aunt. I was okay in the orphanage." I often wonder if Vivienne was born to act. At 18 years old, she plays the victim perfectly, making me look like the bad guy without even trying. I hadn't even said anything, and she made it seem like I was selfish. Mother immediately felt sorry for her and held her gently. "Vivienne, don't overthink it. You are our family," she said asa. Father also held Vivienne's small hand warmly, saying, "That's right. From now on, our home is your home. We are your parents." With tears running down her face, Vivienne looked like a sad but sweet child. "Thank goodness I finally have a family," she sobbed, burying herself deeper into Mother's arms. The cold winter wind howled outside, and everyone was moved by this show of warmth and family. Father, Mother, and Vivienne huddled close together, like a family that had been apart for a long time. I stood on the side, feeling like I didn't belong. Vivienne's talent is that she can steal attention without making a sound, becoming the centre of everything. At home, my parents asked me to show Vivienne around. They had us share my room, splitting my luxury suite in half for her. Just like their love now, it was divided. I started planning how I would get away from this house, which Vivienne would use as her own stage. I knew from before that once Vivienne arrived, my parents and my childhood friend Marcus would all focus on her. I would be seen as her enemy, the one standing in her way. As I was thinking about the future, Vivienne suddenly screamed and fell off a step, holding her chest in pain. "Ah, my heart hurts so much," she cried desperately. My parents rushed over, looking panicked. They picked her up, visibly worried. "Vivienne, hang on. We'll get you to a hospital," they said, holding her close. "Uncle, Aunt, maybe I should go back," Vivienne murmured through tears. "Elara might not like me." My heart sank at those words. Next thing I knew, Father's face was angry as he pulled me downstairs, accusing me. "What did you do? How could you be so mean? Vivienne's so sick and she lost her family. You bullied her. Mother held Vivienne and left without even looking at me. I felt hopeless, wishing my parents were not so easily fooled by their kindness. How could I have pushed Vivienne from such a distance? If she was really having heart problems, how could she act the victim so perfectly? They blamed me without even letting me explain. They took Vivienne away, leaving me home alone and hungry. Mother used to have dinner with me and check on me before she went out. Now, they only saw Vivienne, forgetting that I needed love and care too, that I got hungry, cold, and scared of being alone. I slowly realised that after Vivienne arrived, the title of obedient and sweet daughter was given to her. I became the bad child who didn't want to share. Vivienne's trick was to act weak, playing on my kind-hearted parents' sympathy, leaving me with guilt that wasn't mine. Their disappointment in me kept growing. I couldn't accept it. So, I started trying to compete with Vivienne, always trying to be better than her, but Vivienne was just too good at playing the victim. To everyone else, she was the sweet, innocent child that everyone loved. She got praise like it was nothing. Everyone in our social circle knew about the parents with a talented adopted daughter named Vivienne. She seemed delicate, but strong, while I felt invisible to them. To them, I was just ordinary, unremarkable, but I was competitive. I spent my life trying to outdo Vivienne, only to end up losing everything. In my past life, I lay in a cold hospital room, taking my last breath. She stole my parents' love, and even Marcus, who used to be my closest friend, fell for her instantly. In this life, I've decided not to make the same mistakes. I'm going to live for myself. The next morning, laughter and talking from downstairs woke me up. It was my birthday. Just a few days ago, my parents had said they would plan something special and take me out to a fancy restaurant. When I went out of my room, I saw Vivienne sitting on the sofa surrounded by mother and father. She was wearing my favourite designer dress that father had given me last year. When they saw me, the laughter stopped like I was an unwelcome guest, ruining their happy moment. Mother had a forced smile on her face. Seeing that I noticed the dress, she quickly explained, "Elara, Vivienne really likes that dress. As her older sister, why don't you give it to her? I'll buy you a new one later." Standing on the stairs, I looked down at them, feeling nothing. I said, "It's just a birthday gift, as long as you guys are happy." As soon as I said that, everyone seemed to understand what I really meant. Father's expression turned cold immediately. "Elara, it's just a dress. Why are you being so sarcastic?" he snapped. Mother seemed uncomfortable too, saying, "Elara, how can you say that? Apologise to your sister now." My birthday gift was given away, yet they made it seem like I was the one being mean. Maybe that's how favoritism works. Whatever Vivienne does, she's never at fault. I'm always the problem. In my last life, I would have been heartbroken by their favoritism. I would have locked myself in my room and cried. But now, I only managed a small smile. Looking at the leftovers on the table, everyone else had already eaten breakfast except for me. So, did anyone remember it's my birthday today? My parents froze. They had clearly forgotten. "Oh, yesterday we were so busy taking Vivienne to the doctor. We didn't notice the date," Mother rushed to say, trying to make things less awkward, covering up that she had forgotten her own daughter because of Vivienne. Father, however, didn't like my questioning tone. He tossed his phone onto the glass coffee table, making a sharp noise. "You should have reminded us yesterday. We're so busy all the time. You're spoiled, thinking you're the centre of the world and everyone should revolve around you. It's just a birthday. There's always next year. It's not as important as Vivienne's health. We'll take you out for a meal later." Even if I had reminded them yesterday, they would have only cared about making it up to fragile Vivienne. If it were the old me, Dad's words would have crushed me. I would have cried and thrown a fit, earning the label of being difficult and ungrateful. But now I felt nothing. I calmly walked down the stairs and, feeling a bit sad, looked up. I saw Vivienne with a small smirk and a flash of satisfaction in her eyes. The next second, she frowned as if she were about to cry. "Uncle, please don't blame my sister. It's my fault. I shouldn't have gotten sick, shouldn't have worn her dress and made her upset. I'll go back to the orphanage. You celebrate Alara's birthday. I'll always remember how good you and Aunt were to me and repay you when I grow up." After hearing her words, my parents were clearly moved. "What an understanding little girl," Mother said. "Despite all she's been through, she's still so kind and gentle, not like spoiled me who grew up in comfort and lacks empathy," Father added. The three of them hugged again, acting like I didn't exist at all. In my last life, I tried so hard to win back my parents' love, but only fell into Vivienne's traps, growing more distant from them. It's not that my parents didn't love me. Their love was just so weak that a few of Vivienne's fake words could steal their attention, swapping their real daughter for their adopted one. If it could be taken away so easily, then maybe it wasn't really mine. In this life, I refuse to waste my energy on this messed up love. But I will let Vivienne know that everything she schemed to get is meaningless to me. My parents and even Marcus, whom she took from me, are just minor characters in my life now. My parents took me and Vivienne to a prestigious restaurant nearby. When the food arrived, it was all seafood. Lobster, caviar, and fine wine. "Oh, great! I'm allergic to seafood." "Alara, you know Vivienne needs good nutrition because she's not in great health," Mother said, urging me. "Be a good sister and let it slide." So this was all Vivienne's favourite food. Compromise and let it slide. These words had become too familiar since she came along. I was tired of hearing them. Throughout lunch, Mother kept putting food on Vivienne's plate, and Father watched them lovingly, hardly looking my way. I ate without thinking. The food had no taste. Afterward, the plan was to go to the Blackwood Industries Gala, something I had wanted to attend for a long time. But a call about Vivienne's portfolio interview changed everything, and they left me behind. Is it my birthday today, or hers? I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and wanted to ask if my parents realised how unfair they were being. "Alara, you can celebrate your birthday every year, but this opportunity is rare for Vivienne," Mother said gently. But her words were all about Vivienne, as if there was no room for discussion. Every time something conflicted with Vivienne, Mother comforted me this way. But I never got what she promised. "Sis, I'm sorry," Vivienne, Anne started to cry pitifully again, making our parents feel all sympathetic. Father gave me a cold look, as if I were the biggest enemy of the family. "It's just a birthday. Don't be so dramatic," he said. "We already took you out for a meal. What more do you want? Why do you have so many demands? Can't you be more like Vivienne? She's younger and understands more than you do." But when it came to Vivienne's birthday, Mother and Father took her to a fancy hotel, threw a big party, and invited everyone important in the business world. They dressed her up like a princess and seemed eager to introduce her to everyone. They left with Vivienne without looking back. Vivienne slightly looked over her shoulder and gave me a challenging smile as if to say, "See? Your parents are so easy for me to take away." I ignored her and walked home by myself, finally letting go of all my hopes. Once I got back, I cleared out my old room and moved into the guest room, not to please Vivienne, but because I wanted the peace and quiet to focus on my studies so I could get out of this house as soon as possible. My parents took Vivienne out, who knows where. They returned later and seemed even happier that I had willingly given up my room. "If only you'd been this sensible earlier," Mother said. "We always knew you're a good daughter at heart. We went to great lengths to get this. We hope you'll keep this attitude and get along with Vivienne. Okay?" Mother took out a brand new limited edition designer handbag. It was a gift my past self had only dreamed of getting. She placed it into my arms and patted my head. That kind of tenderness reminded me of the days before Vivienne came into our lives. Back then, I would have been thrilled to get their approval, but now it felt different. Only by putting Vivienne first was I worthy of a reward. Vivienne wasn't happy with me just giving up the room. Her eyes showed envy when she saw the special handbag. Soon, she stood in front of us, clutching the bag, tears streaming down her face like pearls. I had a bad feeling. Before, she would act and cry her way into getting my birthday presents. And now, she opened her small hand to show us the bag torn into pieces, with the straps and hardware hanging off. "Sis, I know you don't like me, but the bag didn't do anything wrong. How could you take your anger out on it?" she accused. "It wasn't me," I said quickly, trying to defend myself. Father wouldn't even listen. He snatched the bag from my arms and handed it to Vivienne. "I thought you'd finally learned better, but you've just been hiding it. We got you a new bag, and you went and ruined Vivienne's. You're still so petty," he accused. Mother looked at me disappointedly. "Elara, you're becoming more stubborn. We work all day and take care of you and your sister, and you can't even try to be like Vivienne. More understanding." I had enough and finally asked what I had always wanted to know. "I didn't do it. Why do you always believe a stranger over your own daughter?" Instead of an answer, Father angrily slapped me, pointing at my nose. "Because Vivienne is sweet, obedient, and likable, and you're not. How can you compare? Would Vivienne ruin something she loves? You made a mistake and can't admit it." After they protected Vivienne like she was some precious treasure, she wiped away her tears and acted all innocent. "Uncle and Aunt, don't be mad at Sis. It's my fault. I shouldn't have wanted her bag. I just never saw something so pretty at the orphanage. Sister, I'm sorry. It's all my fault." Mother and Father bent down, comforting her softly, glaring at me to apologise to Vivienne. "Vivienne is being generous by not holding it against you, but you, as her sister, can't even accept her. Apologise to Vivienne. You're just spoiled by us." Seeing them united with Vivienne against me, I felt like the outsider, adopted and alone, facing a cold and unfair reality. "Remember this," I said. "I didn't do anything wrong. I will not apologise." Ignoring Vivienne's smug look, I went straight to my room, locked the door, and blocked out Father's furious yelling, Mother's heavy sighs, and Vivienne's sobs. Both then and now, nothing changed. Even when I wanted nothing to do with Vivienne, I ended up caught in her little show, making my parents dislike me more and more, while they took Vivienne out to enjoy the benefits of being a Blackwood until sunset. Before, I might have been devastated and thought about running away, but now I calmly sat with my business textbook, quietly studying. In this second chance at life, with 27 years of experience, I aced all my finals, ranking first in the entire university. I won first place in every business competition I entered. With these achievements, I earned prestigious internships and built connections with our family's competitors. Vivienne, on the other hand, did terribly, barely passing her classes. Mother and Father paid a lot of money to get her into a decent program, yet they never blamed her. Instead, they comforted her by putting me down. I bet if it weren't for Vivienne's health issues, she would have done much better than Elara, Mother said. "Worst case scenario, we could always sign you up for more tutoring classes," Father added. "Exactly. With Vivienne's massive musical talent, she's going to be someone important someday. You can't compare her to some bookworm buried in financial reports." Sometimes I really can't understand why there are parents who are so biased. For Vivienne, it was all about caring and patience. But for me, their own daughter who was at the top of her class, they couldn't care less. To the point where just to keep me from feeling hurt, they told me to stay in my room on company event days. Honestly, I didn't mind. No one bothering me meant I could focus on my plans more. But Vivienne's curse never stopped. Whenever I started studying, that annoying piano sound would blare from next door. Once again, they chose the special music path for Vivienne. Stepping out of my room, I found the three of them talking by the piano room. When they saw me, they all stopped like I was someone they had to hide from. "Is Big Sis mad because my piano playing is too loud?" Vivienne asked, looking sadly at her hands. "If it upsets you, I guess I'll just stop playing." Mother's eyes softened, and she looked at me with words she seemed to hold back before finally speaking up. "Elara, your sister's not in great health and needs to stay home. You can study at a library nearby. Give your room to Vivienne." I found it ridiculous. I was getting kicked out of my own home just because of Vivienne. In my past life, I fought with her, wanting to study music too, wanting to play the piano. It caused endless family arguments. And in the end, Vivienne sat in my room, playing my piano, taught gently by our parents, surrounded by love, playing duets with them. Me, a 21-year-old woman, had no choice but to take the bus every day to a practice room 5 miles away. Every piece she played was carefully recorded by my parents on expensive equipment. All I got were poor recordings on my phone. Every single time Vivienne's request meant I had to step back. No one cared about my feelings. Once, both Vivienne and I entered a business plan competition. Halfway through, Vivienne pretended to have a heart attack and couldn't finish the presentation, so she just submitted one of my proposals from my computer. The judges questioned the similarity in style, which got attention online. I tried telling the truth to the organisers, but my parents got there first, publicly saying it was Vivienne's original work. They comforted the tearful Vivienne, but ignored my breakdown, warning me not to be aggressive. "Elara, just give Vivienne what she wants," Mother said. "Sisters should share. After all, Vivienne's been frail since she was young. Have some compassion. It's not like she does this on purpose. Do you really want to push her to despair?" Why did I always have to give in? Wasn't it enough that she took my parents from me? Now she wanted my future too. They made things seem so simple, but they knew nothing about how long I had worked, how many nights I had spent perfecting my business plans, only to have all that effort dismissed with a few words. My frustrations never got any sympathy from my parents. Instead, Father angrily pushed me down. "Why are you shouting? If it weren't for Vivienne's condition, do you think she'd care about your average stuff? Do you think you have any talent for business? Going to business school is just wasting money." Mother shook her head with disappointment. "Elara, you're being hurtful. Where are your manners?" From then on, I carried the shame of being labelled a plagiariser, known in business circles, mocked for not being as talented as an adopted sibling with a heart condition, effectively blacklisted. Meanwhile, Vivienne enjoyed fame and fortune through reviews praising her talent, loved by critics and audiences, getting into a prestigious business program with my work. Reborn, I threw the piano room key on the floor. "Do whatever makes you happy," I said without looking back. I stormed out, even though I knew my parents would sigh about my rebelliousness and Vivienne would smile at her success. But I wasn't going to waste energy looking back. Forward, that's all I could focus on. But even when I stopped fighting, Vivienne's curse remained. If I refused to give in, my parents threatened to cut my allowance. Luckily, being reborn meant I never relied on parents under Vivienne's spell. I had saved money over the years and started investing in the stock market, building a small fortune of about $300,000. Seeing that their threat had no effect shook my parents, making them think I had secret plans, challenging them openly. "You think we won't cut you off? Let's see how arrogant you are then." I calmly showed them my portfolio and the legal documents, proving my financial independence. That shut them up immediately, leaving them to complain, accusing me of rebellion and disobedience. But I had long gotten used to their weak anger. It went in one ear and out the other. As summer break approached, Marcus came home from his studies abroad. In my previous life, I had hoped my very biased parents would drive me to despair, hoping Marcus, who always said he would protect me, would side with me. But the moment he met Vivienne, he fell for her hard. Marcus came to my house looking for me, but found Vivienne looking unsteady and clutching her heart. She leaned on him, pale-faced, teary-eyed, looking like a fragile flower, making him want to protect her. He started taking her to parties, introducing her to his friends, completely forgetting the engagement our families had planned for us since childhood. Vivienne would subtly show faint bruises on her arms. Once Marcus noticed, she would act embarrassed and say, "No, it's nothing. Next time, Marcus, you should really bring big sis. You two grew up together after all." Marcus got very worried when he heard her and quickly declared, "Vivienne, if anyone bullies you, I'll make sure they deal with me first." He rushed over with a bouquet of roses, angrily asking me, "Elara, when did you become so unfair? Vivienne is such a nice girl. Why are you picking on her?" "Unfair? Please. You guys can't see anything else once Vivienne sheds a couple of tears," I said. I crossed my arms and looked coldly at Marcus, who was eager to play the hero. "Why don't you ask what exactly I did that upset her? Was it giving up my designer clothes, my bedroom, or the piano room to her? Or maybe because at my birthday party, all the dishes were her favourite seafood?" Vivienne's face turned red as I listed everything, and she nervously twisted her fingers, afraid Marcus might realise the truth. But to Marcus, it looked like I was subtly threatening Vivienne, and that she was just being patient to avoid conflict. Seeing Vivienne all flustered and upset, Marcus got really mad and shouted at me, "You're just jealous because I've taken Vivienne to a few social events. The engagement stuff was just a childhood arrangement. I never liked you that way. Don't pick on her again, or you'll regret it." In my past life, hearing these harsh words from Marcus, who used to do anything for me, broke my heart. I couldn't eat for days and was determined to outshine Vivienne to prove myself. But now I know people like them belong together. I just want them to never bother anyone else. I walked away without looking back, but from the corner of my eye I saw Marcus carefully comforting Vivienne in his arms. Probably worried I might hurt Vivienne, Marcus took a year off from his studies abroad just to stay and protect his sweetheart. But before the new semester started, I applied for an apartment downtown. I couldn't wait to leave that cold-hearted home. Being born again and excelling in my studies, I built connections with all the right people in the business world. The CEO of a rival company, impressed with my business acumen, made an exception and offered me a position with significant equity. The office is in one of the best buildings in the city, with a team system that rewards results rather than family connections. The expectations and pressure are much higher than at my father's company. I have to work hard to stay ahead, but it's worth it. After settling my living arrangements, I focused completely on my career. I thought moving out would mean Vivienne would calm down, but she didn't. Even though our offices aren't close, one day I saw her in my department. "Sis," she said, "it's been a while since you started working, and you haven't called home. Uncle and Aunt said they wouldn't give you any inheritance, but that's just talk. I've tried to calm them down. They're really worried about you." Vivienne deliberately spoke loudly. Soon, everyone was staring at us. Vivienne looked all dressed up in Blackwood Industries executive attire, while I was just in standard business wear. Her words were misleading, making it seem like she was the family's real daughter and I was some ungrateful foster child. Some colleagues who already disliked me for advancing quickly took the opportunity. "Elara's so ungrateful, isn't she? Who treats their parents like that?" "Her younger sister is more mature," another added. "She's only good at spreadsheets, not at dealing with people. Does she think she's all that?" I frowned, about to say something, but Alexander, who sat next to me, interrupted the chatter. "Quiet down," he said. "If you're all so bored, go back to your desks. Don't bother those who want to work." Silence fell. No one dared to speak, because he was not only the top executive, but also the son of the CEO. Nobody wanted to get in trouble with him. Seeing her plan fail, Vivienne stomped off, pretending she was having a heart attack. I gave Alexander a grateful nod and whispered, "Thanks." He nodded slightly and slid his proposal draft to me. I understood and smiled. Alexander isn't very talkative, and many people think he's serious and stiff. But being close to him and on the same executive team, I've gotten to know him better. He's actually a brilliant strategist. When you ask him questions, he's patient and thorough. He's just not good at small talk. Vivienne put Alexander on her things she wants to take from me list after that day. Everything I have she wants to take. So, she aggressively started pursuing Alexander. But whether it was something small or important, Alexander turned her down like an icy wall. After failing many times, she finally gave up. Thinking she would finally leave me alone, I focused on preparing for the company merger. Just as Alexander and I left the conference room after dinner, Vivienne jumped out with my parents, who I hadn't seen in ages, behind her. They showed up daily to pick up their precious adopted daughter from her cushy job at Blackwood Industries, but never once looked at their own daughter thriving at a competing firm. Pointing at Alexander and me, she loudly exclaimed, "Uncle, Aunt, look, she's in a relationship, always hanging out with this guy." Father and mother got very angry, accusing me of having no morals and saying I should be sent back to work at the family company where they could keep an eye on me. They even threatened to talk to the CEO to fix the company's environment. A crowd gathered and people started whispering about Alexander and me. Vivienne gave me a wicked smile. I pulled out my phone and opened a file I had saved. A comprehensive dossier showing how Vivienne had been stealing my business plans for years, along with evidence of her sabotaging deals to make me look incompetent. My parents were too shocked to speak. This, my mother stammered, glaring between Vivienne and me. I gave an understanding smile and said, "Just like you saw, the one being underhanded is your adopted daughter." Vivienne was so mad, she was shaking, ready to slap me, screaming, "You little brat! Just you wait!" Alexander grabbed her wrist and stood between us. With everyone staring, she realised she had lost control. The next second, she put on a tear-eyed act. "Sorry, Uncle and Aunt. I shouldn't have tried to ask Marcus how to make my runaway sister happy. But sis, why are you so sneaky, even gathering false evidence? If Marcus doesn't like you, is that why you're mad at me? Since you hate me, I guess I should just leave. It's all my fault. I just wanted a family so badly, and I forgot who the real daughter is here." Her tears streamed down, looking as pitiful as she could, but it made me want to throw up. My parents, though, were heartbroken. The moment they saw her crying, they forgot everything and just comforted her. "Vivienne, don't cry," Mother said. "We know it's not your fault. We know Marcus, he's just like a brother. It's not strange to be close to him." "Elara twisted everything. It's her mistake," Father added. "Elara, if you want to fall, don't drag your sister down with you." "Sweetheart, let's not lower ourselves to her level." I wasn't interested in watching their little family drama anymore and left with Alexander. Vivienne's pathetic act only fooled my parents. I didn't even care. But word got to the CEO. When I opened his office door, I heard Alexander calling him father. That's when it hit me. Alexander was the CEO's son, being groomed to take over the company. I intended to explain everything, but it seemed like he already knew. He just patted my shoulder and told me to focus on my career. I glanced at Alexander. He must have explained everything to him. Later, I found out the CEO gave Vivienne a warning for spreading lies. If she did it again, she would be blacklisted from the industry. This kept Vivienne and my parents from causing more trouble. Just like the CEO said for me, what mattered was my career. With hard work, I climbed the corporate ladder quickly. My plans brought significant profits to the company. sometimes even outperforming Alexander's. I was getting closer to my dreams. To celebrate my progress, the CEO took me out for a meal. Alexander came along too. "Ilara," the CEO said, "you're proactive, ambitious, resilient, with so many great qualities. You're a treasure to be cherished. Honestly, I felt a connection with you the moment I met you. Your parents might not recognize your value, but I'd love to have you join our family officially. We could merge our companies. What do you think?" His kind words gave me a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time, like finding a safe place during a storm. I didn't cry when Vivienne set me up or when my parents blamed me. But now, I felt a lump in my throat, tears welling up. Alexander seemed uncharacteristically awkward. "She doesn't need to be family to be valuable to our company," he said, but his eyes told a different story. The CEO went to pay the bill and Alexander and I stayed put. We saw Vivienne holding Marcus's hand coming towards us with my parents behind them. It seemed they had approved of Vivienne and Marcus' relationship, replacing our engagement with hers. Vivienne saw me, gasped and hid behind Marcus like I was a monster. Playing the part of a fragile victim, she tugged at Marcus' heartstrings, who immediately started yelling at me. "You pretended to be innocent, getting Vivienne in trouble while you were out stealing other companies from your father," he accused. Tears in her eyes, Vivienne pleaded, "Sis, I shouldn't have been here to bother you. Please don't tell the other executives bad things about me." My parents were angry too, pointing at me. "Ilara, you've really become something," Father said, "lying all the time. You abandoned your family for some rival company, dragging Vivienne down. When will you grow up and be responsible like your sister?" The CEO walked over, his face darkening when he saw Vivienne and the others. My parents suddenly smiled, nodding at the CEO. Vivienne stepped forward awkwardly, chuckling. "It was all a misunderstanding," she said. "Sis, you're not going to hold a grudge, are you?" In this new life, I had already deleted Vivienne's access to my files, and her terrible business decisions cost Blackwood Industries millions. Her performance wasn't good enough to keep her executive position unless Father showed mercy. "Oh, Mr. Richards," Mother said, "we're so grateful Ilara's lucky to have your favour." The CEO, clearly not impressed, replied coldly, "Ilara is excellent on her own." Alexander sneered at my shameless family who only cared about appearances. "Ilara secured the Henderson merger single-handedly and brought in over $50 million in new business last quarter. Did you know any of this?" My parents were stunned, too focused on Vivienne to notice my achievements. Marcus, not happy with Vivienne lowering herself, looked at us like enemies, snapping, "If she doesn't say it, who's going to know? Besides, what's the point of corporate success? You'll end up working for someone else forever. I've got enough money to take care of Vivienne forever." I calmly interrupted. "You care more about Vivienne than she cares for herself. Growing up, her cry for help would bring everyone running, yet no one brought me a glass of water when I had a fever. There's a lot more. Are these all my faults?" Everyone fell silent. My parents hung their heads, maybe reconsidering their actions. Vivienne, sensing their guilt, started crying and stumbling through her words. "Sorry, sis. It's all my fault. If it weren't for my bad heart, maybe they wouldn't be so worried about me." Halfway through, she clutched her chest dramatically, squatting down in supposed pain. My parents instantly pushed me aside, focusing only on Vivienne again. After all, she had been their darling for so long. Even a small bruise on her would break their hearts. "You vile woman," Marcus yelled angrily, trying to push me. But as soon as he moved, Alexander grabbed his arm and held it tightly. "You've got such basic skills and still want to fight." Alexander might look like a reserved businessman, but he had been a martial arts champion in college. The CEO's gaze was icy like a blade, scanning the people around Vivienne. "You blame Ilara for not coming home, saying she's cold-hearted. But now, Do you see why? It's all because of your favoritism. You twisted things unrelated to Alara into being her fault. He didn't look at my parents' reaction afterward, just took us out of there. Worried I'd be hurt by my parents' behaviour, he comforted me for a while, but I just smiled slightly and shook my head, showing that none of their nonsense would bother me. With the company merger coming up, I couldn't let them distract me. I focused on my work and successfully negotiated the takeover of 3 smaller firms, expanding our reach globally. Thanks to my excellent business record and the CEO's mentorship, the board offered me a position as Chief Strategy Officer, with equity options that made me an instant millionaire. Plus, I was dating Alexander, whose brilliance matched my own. When the merger documents were finalised, I thought my controlling father would take the chance to scold me. But for the first time ever, he called and spoke to me in the same gentle way he talks to Vivienne, asking me to come home for dinner. It turned out they had spent all their savings on Vivienne's medical treatments and her failing business ventures. Vivienne's financial talent had faded because she was lazy, and now even Blackwood Industries was in trouble. Casually, I asked, "What about Marcus? Didn't he say he could support Vivienne for life?" All I heard on the phone was Vivienne crying. Marcus had been forced by his family to marry a business partner's daughter. His family looked down on Vivienne and told them to break up. At first, Marcus resisted, but after his parents stopped giving him money for just a week, he gave in and abandoned her. My family was deeply in debt. Knowing I earned a good amount from my position, they hoped I would cover the endless expenses Vivienne created. To them, I was just someone to use. Having long gotten used to and tired of their snobbish attitudes, I sent them $2 million, telling them it covered what they would have spent on me over the years cutting ties afterward. Since you've always treated Vivienne as your only daughter, I've done what I legally have to. From now on, let's stay out of each other's lives. Hearing this, my father's nice act disappeared, and he roared like he was angry. "You ungrateful girl! Who needs your money? You've become bold outside, even cocky. Fine then, don't ever come back to this house." I didn't say anything more and hung up the phone. Despite saying they didn't care, they accepted the money in seconds. No wonder Vivienne fits right into their family. They're just as fake as she is. Alexander chose to propose to me the following week. After the board meeting, he told me he loved me, and I said yes. I got the CEO position at our newly merged company, and he became chairman. Together, we built the largest financial empire in the country and became a formidable couple in the business world. One day, after finalising an acquisition, we planned to get dinner, but almost got hit by a car crossing the street. It happened a few more times, like someone was trying to hurt me. Thankfully, my past life's fatal accident made me very careful about safety in this one. Then, I saw the same car that killed me in my former life among the others. I knew it wasn't just a coincidence. When I hired investigators, it turned out Vivienne was behind it. She wasn't happy with just taking my family. She wanted me dead to feel secure. So she hired someone to cause an accident. In this life, she was so desperate that she acted sooner. I immediately had my legal team gather evidence and reported it, making Vivienne responsible for her actions. As she was taken into the police car, Vivienne yelled, "Father, Mother, help me, make them let me go," hoping her parents would fix her problems like before. But now, facing the law, there was no chance. They grabbed my hands tightly, begging, "Alara, please drop the charges. Vivienne was just confused for a moment and she's not well." I couldn't hold back anymore and interrupted, "So, her poor health is an excuse for taking over your lives and mine, huh?" They didn't know what to say, seeming to forget how to respond. This excuse has been her shield, a weapon that hurt me. Is there any sign of me in this house? Do you see a single picture of me on the wall full of her photos? Ever since Vivienne came, my place disappeared from your lives. everything taken over by her. With that, I left without looking back while my parents stood in shock, confused. When they took Vivienne from the orphanage, reporters gathered for interviews. Now, as she's put in jail, they faced another crowd of cameras. It was all celebration before. Now it was nothing but shame. You reportedly favoured your adopted daughter over your biological one. What are your thoughts on that? Do you regret this decision? Reporters asked. My parents looked like they had aged a lot, with wrinkles and grey hair as they bent over, crying into their hands. The spell of favoritism they were under had finally broken completely. We regret it. We've really made a mistake, they said through their tears. But watching this on TV only made me feel a deep sense of irony. Behind me, I heard Alexander and his father's voices. Elara, the board approved your strategy for international expansion. We're having dinner to celebrate, Alexander said warmly. The CEO added cheerfully, already reserved your favourite restaurant. I turned off the TV and walked towards them. Coming, I replied. Past events have faded away like dust. Not worth thinking about anymore. What's important is my life now, with people who appreciate me for who I am, creating an empire that will last generations. That's where my true power begins. After Rebirth, I let Vivienne have everything they took from me, and now they regret choosing the wrong daughter.